Sioran grabbed Hestia's little hand that was trying to shake, and felt a slight headache. No matter how long it has been, she will remain innocent and pure. Although Sioran likes this very much, sometimes he will be helpless like now. Wu, don't try to change the subject, kid, tell me. This time, the girl of the god seemed to be unusually difficult to appease. I don't know if it was because of the cooperation with her mortal enemy Loki or the warren she mentioned. Facing his own main god who was not willing to give in, Sioran held her in his arms by force. Then Hestia's attitude softened instantly, and she stayed obediently in front of his chest. Seeing the softened main god and the envious eyes of the other girls, Sioran talked about the purpose of this expedition. He was a little interested in the group of guys he met in the 24th floor food warehouse before. They also deliberately lured Isai to the 59th floor, so he was naturally curious. It has been a year since Sioran went deep into the underground maze. Perhaps some unknown and interesting changes are happening there now. In addition, this expedition is also a good opportunity to upgrade. The girls except Fearweiss are at the critical point of 4.4. Through this expedition, perhaps the level can be upgraded. Sure enough, it's for that warren. Well, it's useless to say it. Hestia seemed to only notice the existence of Isai. Cassandra, did the precognitive dream appear last night? While comforting the goddess girl, Sioran looked at the intestinal girl opposite. The girl's expression at this moment was extremely pale, and there was a hint of something in the corner of her eyes. Cassandra in this state is very rare, and she obviously encountered something. According to Sioran's past experience, he probably guessed that it was caused by the precognitive dream. Yes, yes. Lord Sioran. Cassandra suddenly woke up, and the girl's current state was very wrong. She used to be affected by precognitive dreams, but her expression now is rare. Sir Sioran, Lady Cassandra has been like this since she got up today. Sir Hestia asked, but she didn't say anything. Lily Luca told Sioran what happened after she left in the morning. I also found out. I was planning to tell you when Sir Sioran came back. Ming also had worry on her face. They had lived together for a long time, and they noticed something was wrong with Cassandra in the morning. But the backbone of the family left temporarily, so they could only put their worries aside for the time being. I have cast magic on Cassandra, but it didn't work. Her mind seems to have suffered a shock. Except for Sioran. Hestia and the others were affected by Cassandra's skills, and they didn't believe the girl's dream. Amide initially thought Cassandra was cursed. Tried to use magic to remove it, but found that it didn't work. It was then confirmed that it was her own fault. Is that so? Sioran motioned Hestia in his arms to stand up, and then walked towards Cassandra, who lowered her head. Chapter 79, Best at Fighting Off Disasters. It seems that last night's prophetic dream gave you some bad ideas. Cassandra. Sioran came to the girl and gently held her in his arms. The girl, who had always looked weak, was now too haggard. Her delicate cheeks were no longer as rosy as usual, with a little paleness. Her eyes, which contained the color of life, no longer had a lively light. Obviously, Cassandra's body and mind had suffered a great shock. No wonder Lily Luca and the others were so worried. The girl's current appearance was like a curse. Sia, Lord Sioran. Feeling the familiar breath, Cassandra woke up from her own world. The strong heartbeat in her chest constantly soothed her heart that was covered by shadows. Well, I'm here, so there's nothing to be afraid of. Sioran could clearly sense the girl's confused mood. She was indeed rare in this state. In the past few years of adventure in the underground maze, Cassandra has grown a lot. Although her own character is still quite timid. But Sioran has never seen her in this state before. The girl seemed to have seen some kind of horrifying scene, and her green eyes that used to be lively were filled with gloom. Cassandra, we are not here. So, tell me what you saw. Sioran gently stroked the girl's dark blue hair in his arms. The other hand slightly tightened the distance between the two. The girl's beautiful curves hidden under the uniform were completely close to his chest. Feeling the warmth from her skin, Cassandra's uneasiness gradually dissipated. Lord Sioran, I saw a disaster, far more than before. The girl's voice was a little trembling. It can be seen what kind of impact the dream she knew last night had on her. Yeah, I know, go on. Have you forgotten, Cassandra? What I am best at is repelling disasters. Sioran's tone was extremely gentle. But anyone could sense the confidence contained in it. So far, he has repelled the despair that enveloped the girl's heart several times. He is not the hero of the labyrinth city, but only the hero of the girl. Lord Sioran. Cassandra stared blankly at the eyes of the boy in front of her. There was a dazzling light flashing in her deep eyes. She felt as if she had returned to the dim cave at the beginning. Different place, same light. Yes, how could I forget it? He is the hero of the labyrinth city. Retreat from despair, save your own hero. Hearing the boy's steady and powerful words, Cassandra gained courage. Slowly speaking the prophetic dream. A huge disaster is coming. Do not approach, it is the embodiment of destruction. Do not touch, it is the herald of death. The mother's lament summons disaster, and despair is born in the depths. With heavy wailing sacrifices, a road of mountains of corpses and seas of blood is built. The blue glacier also turns into blood, and the aliens rejoice. The lower reaches of the Styx will wash away the accumulated remains and return everything to the mother. The shining magic spear, the sweeping wind, the flame of the swan song will rise here. You can understand it just from the literal meaning of these poems. Cassandra's prophetic dream this time is full of ominous atmosphere. The past prophecies are completely incomparable to this, no wonder she has become so haggard. After all, before meeting Sioran, she has been at the bottom of the abyss. The others all treat her prophetic dream as a joke. This terrible dream reminds the girl of her loneliness and helplessness in the past. She almost forgets that she is very different now. Despair is born in the depths. The light in Sioran's eyes kept flickering, and he was thinking about the information revealed by the girl's dream. A disaster from the deep? The target of their joint expedition this time was the 59th floor, and Changran had been there before. It was a maze covered with ice and snow, and the biting storm often swept the entire floor. However, according to the intensity before the 59th floor, it was impossible to reach the level of disaster. To be a disaster. That means that it might be at the level of the three major adventurers commissioned on the surface. It is predicted that the guy in the dream should be in a deeper level. After sorting out all the information, Sioran roughly guessed the final opponent of this expedition. He was not afraid of the so-called disaster. It's just that he developed the habit of thinking in advance and made a preliminary analysis based on the existing information. The level of this world itself is relatively high, and there are underground mazes that are suspected to be other worlds. So he is currently enjoying this unknown that appears at any time. Before he fails to completely complete his goal and truly sweep across this world. As long as what happens is interesting enough, he doesn't mind playing with people in the dark. For Sioran, who has already become an immortal. Apart from flirting with the girl he loves, the rest is just an interesting game. The things on the 59th floor are mostly just appetizers. The disaster rooted in the deeper is the focus of this predictive dream. On the surface, Cassandra's oracle is full of ominousness, but there is a biggest premise. That is, the girl cannot predict the existence of the god level. All her past prophetic dreams did not show the figure of the boy. Even if this skill can be called a bug, the girl's own realm is too low after all. The disaster mentioned in the dream is only for adventurers. Forgot that there is a bug here. It seems that there will be many accidents in this joint expedition. Lily Luca is a little worried about the upcoming maze journey. Although she does not believe in Cassandra's predictive dream. But she can feel that some hidden deep malice has bared its fangs. As the core commander of Hestia's family, she was a little worried about whether she could perfectly deal with the accidents that might happen in the future. Well, it's not a big deal. Now all you have to do is have a good rest, and then we will start the expedition. I will accompany Cassandra these few nights, and I am a little worried about her. Sioran clapped his hands and woke up the girls who were lost in thought. Cassandra's current expression has improved a lot, but there is still a little uneasiness in her heart. Knowing the girl's personality, Sioran decided to accompany her before the expedition. Let her recover to normal as soon as possible. As for the method to be taken, nothing can be more effective than recharging. If it doesn't work once, then do it many times. Sioran has made up his mind. Save the girl, and have to do it. Woo. Hearing the arrangement of her own leader, Cassandra, who had just calmed down, hid her head in his arms. She didn't dare to let everyone see her expression at the moment, and there was an inexplicable expectation on her blushing cheeks. The eyes that were originally slightly dim were emitting a strange glow. Hey, Miss Cassandra's plan was like this, so cunning. Lily didn't sleep with Lord Sioran for a long time. Lily Luca's face showed a sudden realization. Then she suspected that the so-called precognitive dream was actually a different way for the weak girl to act like a spoiled child. Although the little girl of the human race was also very worried before. But now her attention was immediately diverted because of someone's words. Oh. So that's the plan, you have also improved a lot. Cassandra. Daphne seemed to be pleased with the growth of her best friend. So that's it? I have also learned it? Ming, who was wearing a close-fitting kimono, gently clenched her right fist and placed it on the palm of her left hand. With an expression of just understood. I don't think Cassandra meant it, Ming. Chigusa, whose right eye was covered by short black hair, complained to Ming a little weakly. No. Ran should be with me. This is the rule of the Hestia family. A stupid god also joined the battlefield. What kind of rule is this? Looking at the girls who suddenly became lively, Sioran sighed slightly. Sure enough, only Fei Zhang Si and Amid don't let me worry. Then two fiery eyes interrupted his thoughts directly. The two most indifferent girls in the Hestia family were staring at him at this time. Okay, just ignore what I said. The next day. According to the rules of the guild, the family needs to report before each expedition. So Sioran brought Feyerwazi to the Pantheon early in the morning. As for the task of collecting other intelligence, he gave it all to Finn. This frivolous attitude made the usually calm Brave feel helpless about the boy's willfulness. Before the expedition, in addition to the guild application report, generally, professional members will be sent to the guild headquarters to collect relevant information. For example, whether there are any abnormal conditions on the scheduled route of the expedition team. 0. Or whether there is a conflict with other factions' floor attack schedules. Others include whether there is a floor master or not. These information are not necessary information for Sioran, and he basically doesn't care about them. So he handed them over to Finn to handle. Sioran, you are here. Ms. Fulvice, long time no see. Seeing the familiar figure, the Archonye's face could not help but soften. The clear green eyes reflected the unique joy of the girl. After Sioran was promoted to 4.8, the upper elves of the guild took into account his relationship with Aegina. The half-elf girl was no longer responsible for daily reception, and only needed to do some review work. Various confirmations of expedition matters were within her business scope. I haven't seen you for a few days. Chi-Yi is not so charming. This time I am here to submit an expedition application, just as the previous notice. In 2 days, the Hestia family will start the expedition. Sioran joked skillfully, and then got down to business. Then, he handed the expedition-related information to the girl who was slightly angry. Fulvice beside her also nodded to her. Okay, we did receive it. Talking about business, Aina took the parchment seriously to confirm. Then he stood up. He placed his hands elegantly on his abdomen, with a sincere blessing on his face. I look forward to your safe return, and I wish you a prosperous military career. I'm waiting for your celebration party, Ran. Ah, look forward to it, Aina. Sioran smiled calmly and confidently. After reviewing all the information, he chatted with the half-elf girl at the window for a while. Finding that there was no information worth paying attention to, he finally left with Fel Zhangxi. Before leaving the Pantheon, he saw a young man with black hair in a hedgehog style. He had a handsome face. His face looked a little flustered because of the companions gathered around him. Sioran knew this young man. Superordinary man Rahul, a second-level adventurer of 4.4. He is also a candidate for the Cotter of Loki's family. Finn seems to be training him in the direction of command, with the intention of making him a successor. One of the few adventurers who survived the dark period. It seems that he is the one who collects expedition information in the guild this time. A reliable but unconfident young man. Without thinking any more, he suddenly walked towards the house. At this moment, there are still 2 days before the expedition. The picture shows Cassandra. Chapter 80 This Damn Charm. On the morning of the expedition, Sioran was awakened by his biological clock. A few golden rays of warmth had already entered through the cracks in the window. At his current level, he no longer needed ordinary sleep. Falling into a deep sleep was also a way to accumulate daily legal knowledge. However, he had not spent much time to comprehend the rules of the world in the past 2 days. After all, he was working hard every night. XT. The moment Sioran opened his eyes, he met the clear eyes of the girl. Cassandra lay timidly on his chest, her emerald eyes full of shyness and love. There was still some lingering charm on her fair cheeks, and her little hands tightly grasped his collar. The dark circles at the corners of her eyes were gone, and they were all healthy and rosy. The girl was wearing loose silk pajamas. There was a little mischievous scattering of her dark blue long hair on her full chest. The girl's tender skin was actually stained with a little water light at this moment. Compared with the haggard and withered 2 days ago, now she looked more like a tender flower. Full of vitality and splendor. After Sioran's hard work in replenishing magic these 2 days, the girl is now in better condition than ever before. It seems that you have recovered almost, and I am looking forward to your performance in the expedition. Cassandra. Sioran gently stroked the silky softness of the girl in his arms, and encouraged her at the same time. I won't let you down. Cassandra made a firm declaration. After leaving the bedroom, Sioran found that the other girls were ready to go. Even the goddess girl who he thought was still sleeping got up early. She looked at her family with full energy. The girls' faces were full of excitement, and they seemed to be looking forward to this joint expedition. They knew that they would go to a place they had never reached before. Therefore, their emotions were very high. After following Sioran for too long, they also habitually looked forward to the unknown and adventure. Filwazy and the others were currently wearing the unique costumes of the Hestia family. The white slim-fitting combat uniforms tightly wrapped the beautiful curves of the girls. At 15 o'clock, there are wisps of silver light flowing obscurely in the air, which is the mystery from the sky. Wearing the unique emblem of Hestia's family on the arm, the black longsword tempered in the flame. Each girl looked at her leader with full spirit. They have experienced countless challenges together and are not afraid, only the excitement gradually heats up. Then, let's set off. Hestia. The girl who finished beating her own family suddenly said goodbye to Hestia gently. Oh. I'm waiting for you to come back and celebrate the victory. My children. The goddess girl waved her little fist vigorously, still as energetic as before. At the same time, the prelude to the expedition of Loki's family gradually opened. The soft warmth sprinkled on the high tower in the dusk pavilion. In a room in the tower. The gentleness coming in from the gap in the window awakened the lightly sleeping girl. The bright luster was jumping on the golden hair. After waking up, Ace took some time to tidy up her clothes. Then she looked at her beloved sword leaning against the wall and skillfully put it on her waist. Then she opened the curtains of the window, and the slightly dazzling sunlight made her squint slightly. Unlike the feelings of the previous expeditions, the girl's heart was full of peace and gentleness at this moment. After receiving the boy's teachings, she would occasionally feel everything around her like now. The freshness of the early morning, the warmth of gold, the green full of vitality. The beauty she saw made Isai's mouth slightly raised. Oh! I will work hard on this expedition and catch up with Isai. It's very noisy, get ready quickly. The room of the Amazon twins was still very lively, and the vitality of the morning began to spread. Unlike the noisy Dione and Diona, Lefia was sitting in front of the mirror. She tied her soft brown long hair behind her head with her hands, holding a silver accessory in her mouth. After tying her hair, the girl picked up her magic wand Forest Tears. Her fists were slightly clenched, as if she was cheering herself up. The elf girl didn't want to be a burden to her family, so she always motivated herself so diligently. Finn was praying in the room at the spire just north of the Dusk Pavilion. The leader of the dwarf tribe was kneeling on one knee. One hand was on his chest, his eyes were closed. In front of him was a statue of a goddess. She was the fictional goddess Fianna that the dwarf tribe devoutly believed in. Finn, I'm coming in. Oh. I seem to have disturbed you. Grace's rough voice sounded, and he pushed the door open directly. Behind him followed the royal elf Livalia. No, it just ended. Finn stood up and turned to his reliable companion. With a gentle and steady smile on his face. Then, the three of them confirmed the relevant matters of the expedition again. Even though they had done it several times before. But considering the importance of this expedition, the big three finally verified it again. It's been a long time since we did that, to cheer up. Grace stretched out his fist and stopped in the air. That happened not long after they joined the Loki family. The bold and rude dwarves often quarreled with the noble royal elves. The leader of the dwarfs was always helpless about this. Finally, the main god Loki made a decision to let them fight each other in the air with the oath of joining the family. Clarify their own beliefs to hone the team's cooperation. May there be a hot battle. May I see the unknown world. May we revive our family. The voice full of firm will echoed in the room for a long time. The clear sky was cloudless, and the soft sunshine covered the entire central square. In the center of the city where 8 streets converge. Many adventurers gathered here very early. The news of the joint expedition of the Loki family, the Hephaestus family, and the Hestia family had already spread throughout Aurario. All adventurers were excited. This is the largest expedition except for the Zeus family and the Hera family. You came really early, Zhirin. Finn arrived with members of Loki's clan and looked at the black-haired boy standing under the Tower of Babel. Well, the girls in our family are very excited today. Sioran smiled gently at the leader of the dwarf clan. It seems that I am the last one to arrive. I am really sorry. At the same time, Quan came slowly with the senior blacksmith of the Hestos family. Don't worry about this little thing, Chun. Sioran waved his hand, just waiting here for a while. The enthusiasm of the girls of the family was a little beyond his expectations. The long-awaited expedition made them very excited, so they came to the White Tower in advance. Finn didn't care about these either, what was important was the exploration afterwards. The news turned out to be true. At first I couldn't believe it. Hero and brave man, what a combination that people look forward to. Lord Sioran is so handsome. When the three parties met, the emotions of the surrounding adventurers also reached a peak. The strongest hero in the city. The Loki family, one of the two kings of Orario, and Hephaestus, the top of the forging system. No one is not looking forward to their expedition. Sioran has a very high reputation in Orario on weekdays, but he rarely shows up. This long-awaited appearance has triggered such a feat. Most of the female adventurers present had fiery eyes. Male adventurers were filled with deep awe and envy. Heroes have always been like this. No matter where he appears, he will always attract the attention of almost all opposite sexes. Every time, most adventurers will be in awe of his power and envy his charm. After all, this is an attraction that even male gods cannot match. Haha. Really popular, suddenly. The crowd at the back automatically separated, and the heroic girl at the head had a joking smile. The people who came were the girls of the Australia family. Alice, Lou, and Kagaya were in the front, and Leela and the other girls were at the back of the team. They naturally knew about this huge joint expedition. Although some people were a little confused about when the boy had such a good relationship with the Loki family. But they didn't plan to ask more, just came to send him their blessings. When they actually arrived at the central square, they found that they had underestimated the influence of this joint expedition. An astonishing number of adventurers gathered here tacitly. If it weren't for the good reputation and prestige of the Australia family, Alice felt that they couldn't squeeze in. Ha, I can't do anything about the charm, Alice. Sioran spread his hands, indicating that he was helpless. A frivolous and casual smile rose at the corner of his mouth. Seeing his smile, the eyes of the female adventurers around him became even hotter. Hey, you really dare to say it? Kagaya covered her mouth lightly and narrowed her eyes. Feeling the gazes around her that seemed to swallow the boy, she couldn't help but sigh slightly in her heart, this damn charm. Except for herself and Alice, they were all attracted by it. The beloved Lord God has this tendency recently. This made Kagaya love and hate the boy in front of her. Please be careful, Sioran Lu earnestly warned the boy. Even though she knew how powerful he was, she still couldn't help worrying in her heart. This overly serious character is also the cuteness of the girl. He don't worry, just wait for us to come back. I didn't chat with Alexei and the others for too long. With the blessings of the girls, Sioran returned to the expedition team. A similar situation happened to Finn and his team. The Loki family had helped some families in Orarine to some extent. Therefore, there were many adventurers who specially cheered them on for the expedition. This is the reputation of the strongest family in the Maze City. Then, Sioran, don't you plan to talk about the departure declaration? After the communication was over, Finn looked at the boy, with a rare bit of fun on his face. In the past, he was the one who fulfilled it, and he had a headache about this kind of thing. Now that there is a hero here, Finn naturally handed it over to him. In the previous life, wasn't it some so-called chicken soup for the soul? He has heard many vampires mention this kind of words. I didn't expect that one day I would say such words. However, seeing the expectation in his girl's eyes, Sioran modified his words. Then he calmly looked at the adventurers in the field and said, "Desire the unknown, hope for the challenge, and win back honor from it. This is the adventurer. But the vanity built on sacrifice does not need to exist. Struggle hard and keep moving forward, adventurers. The one who survives in the end is the winner. I am the victory. And victory will always be with you this time. Oh 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 oh." The calm declaration ignited the passionate flame, and all the adventurers' faces were filled with excitement. Looking enthusiastically at the black-haired boy in the center of the team, morale reached its peak at this moment. Sure enough, he is the hero. The girls looked at the figure engraved in the depths of their souls, their eyes full of love. It's so dazzling. My ode, partner. On the top floor of the Tower of Babel, there was only a peerless and enchanting figure in the empty room. Freya covered her chest with both hands, her eyes full of madness and infatuation. The slender legs were tightly closed in the lace skirt, and she couldn't help trembling. In the goddess's galaxy-like eyes, there was a shining silver. That was a glow similar to hers. At this moment, the air became hot because of the charm of the goddess of beauty, and amazing charm spread in it. Freya's fanatical impulse rose again, even temporarily suppressing the pure white. She wanted to indulge in the ocean of love with him regardless of everything. The goddess who had never understood love was gradually sinking into love. But she soon suppressed this emotion, which was wrong. Go find your partner, Freya. The words of the goddess from the same hometown still echoed in Freya's mind. That touch of pure love was gently calming the goddess's restless mood. My ode. I'm waiting for you to find me, find all of me. Chapter 81, Fishing in the Water. Will the hero be the one who opens a new era? A deep and heavy murmur sounded in the dim temple. This is the underground altar deep in the guild headquarters. Uranus looked at the scene happening in the central square from a distance. Under the flickering torch, there were rays of light in the old god's blue eyes. It seems that his sight is not only focused on the White Tower. It is also farther and deeper. In the process of the underground maze expedition, the main force of the team often serves as the vanguard. The reason for taking this form. Most of them are to deal with various abnormalities that may occur at any time. The maze is full of unknowns. Past experience and judgment cannot guarantee complete correctness. Just as adventurers evolve, the maze will also change. Especially when the expedition reaches the deep layer, similar situations are particularly obvious. Therefore, the vanguard team of the expedition must have considerable strength. If the strength is insufficient, facing the changes in the maze will often only lead to death. This also allows the subsequent support troops to move forward smoothly. Sioran and his team naturally do not need supporters to carry supplies. After all, he can store the supplies in his own space. When he arrived at the disaster, what he created was no longer considered a space. To be precise, it should now be called the seed of the world. With the sublimation of legal principles, the internal space is gradually evolving into the world. Therefore, Lily Luca and Chigusa only occasionally serve as supporters when he is not with him. On weekdays, the little human girl is more inclined to command, and Chigusa is the back row bow output. Although he mentioned it to Finn, he thought that he couldn't rely on hero workers for everything. After all, this kind of joint expedition is very rare, and more often it is necessary to rely on the ability of one's own family. So there are still many members of Loki's family carrying supplies behind the team. The vanguard of this joint expedition is led by Sioran and Finn. They, together with Isai, Werewolf Bird, the Amazon twins, and Philwace, have a total of 7 first-level adventurers. Rivalia and Grace are in charge of the second team. The rest of the girls of Hestia's family are in this team, traveling with Lefia and the others. The core level of this team is 4.4, responsible for supporting the vanguard. Why are there members of other families besides the companions of the Argonauts? Tiona seems to be still in a state, and has no information about this expedition. The Amazon girl's mind is very simple. For things beyond her understanding, she will generally choose to forget subconsciously. Complicated joint expedition matters obviously belong to this category. They are the senior blacksmiths of the Hephaestus family. Have you forgotten the worms you encountered before, Diona? Sioran gently reminded the girl beside him. At the same time, he looked at the leader of the dwarf tribe beside him in silence. Finn, did you really say that? I have informed them well. The two of them exchanged glances tacitly. Then they all couldn't help but admire the Amazon girl who had only one brain. Oh. You're so stupid, Diona. Seeing her sister in shock, Dione couldn't help but complain. This pure and innocent smile always made her feel complicated. With the strength of the expedition team, the journey to the deep layer was just an ordinary journey. But considering the other members with lower levels and the supporters responsible for carrying supplies. When Sioran and his team arrived at the deep layer, it took several days. It was far less efficient than a single attack, but this was the normal speed of the expedition. The expeditions of the Hestia family in the past were completely different. Then without stopping, the team chose to go deeper. Finally, they settled on the 50th floor and decided to use it as a supply point. The 50th floor is similar to the 18th floor, both of which are safe floors that do not produce monsters. It can be used as a temporary camp for follow-up troops. It can also provide assistance to the vanguard troops that continue to explore. After the expedition team completed the layout of the station, Finn summoned all members to discuss the follow-up arrangements. Sioran was not interested in worrying about these things, so he left it all to the leader of the dwarf tribe. This trip, he was just here to fish in the water. Finn finally decided that the vanguard troops would conduct deeper exploration. The rest of the members would be stationed here temporarily. Starting from the 50th floor. Even if they act as supporters, they need to have a minimum ability value. After the 50th floor, the danger and randomness of the maze increase significantly. If the team for subsequent exploration is too large, it will be inconvenient to command and it will also easily delay the pace. Therefore, from here on, only elite troops can continue to move forward. The remaining members naturally have to defend on the 50th floor to ensure the safety of the supply area. After discussion, except for the first level adventurers, the Loki family, Lefia, Rahul, Alicia, will act as subsequent supporters. The girls of the Hestia family will naturally be led by Sioran next. And except for the Leave 5 Chun of the Hephaestus family, the other senior blacksmiths have to stay here. The commander of the temporary camp on the 50th floor is the cat girl Ankai from the Loki family. She is a second-level adventurer of 4.4 and is also a candidate for the family's cotters. She is calm and careful, and has a strong ability to control the situation. Finn also specifically instructed her. Once you encounter a monster similar to the worm before, use magic and magic sword to attack remotely. Afterwards, the leader of the dwarf tribe divided the elite troops that continued to move forward into 3 teams. Finn and Ace led the team, and the werewolf bird, the Amazon twins and others formed the first team. Sioran led the girls of his family and Chun to form the second team. Grace and Livalia led the team, and Lefia, Rahul, Alicia, and others formed the third team. Then I will give you the indestructible weapons you want first. The series Roland is all made according to the previous requirements. After confirming the next expedition team, Tsubaki's voice suddenly became high, her face full of enthusiasm and confidence. Obviously, she was particularly satisfied with her work. Then she heard the words of her own leader. The senior blacksmith of the Hephaestus family took off the white cloth on his back. 5 weapons with the indestructible attribute were displayed in front of everyone. Finn's spear, Grace's big axe. Werewolf Bird has 2 swords, Tiona has a big sword, and Chun has an axe gun. The cold light flows between them, exuding a sharp breath. Oh! Tiona happily waved the big sword wantonly, obviously very satisfied with it. The girl immersed in excitement for a moment forgot the current environment. Although it was just a simple slash. But the power of the first-level adventurer also made the big sword roll up a gust of wind. The surrounding team members retreated and looked at the big cut in awe. Idiot! Don't use it here. Shin couldn't bear it and stopped her sister who was trapped in her own world. The turmoil caused by the field was calmed down. Not only the Amazon twins, but Finn and the others also looked at the weapons in their hands with satisfaction. Except for the main god. The weapon made by the strongest craftsman of the Hephaestus family perfectly meets their needs. Sioran could tell that the Roland series were all first-class weapons. The strength was also excellent. Chun's forging skills were indeed good. This was the result of the craftsman in front of him devoting himself to forging. She wanted to reach the realm of Hephaestus and longed to touch the realm of God. Just like the adventurer's obsession and desire for the unknown in the underground labyrinth. Chun was chasing the peak of the craftsman, trying to approach or even surpass the god of forging. Sioran admired her for this and was not bound by everything. She pursued the breakthrough of skills tirelessly and constantly surpassed herself. After getting their satisfactory weapons, the first-level adventurers of Loki's family chose to leave. Only Sioran, Isai and Chun were left on the field. The other girls of Hestia's family returned to their tents first. Sioran planned to stay with her apprentice for a while. As she got closer to the 59th floor, the girl's mood seemed to be fluctuating. Ace's intuition told her that there was something related to her there. Chun took the initiative to ask to maintain Isai's sword of despair. After handing the beloved sword to the craftsman in front of her, Isai sat down with her knees together. Sioran enjoyed the girl's knees comfortably. Now, the two have long been accustomed to this intimate action. You have changed a lot now, Sword Princess. About 9 years ago, that was the first time I saw you. Looking at the beautiful face with a faint rosy glow in front of me, I sighed from the bottom of my heart. The current Sword Princess no longer looks like the princess doll. I remembered the blonde girl who stubbornly asked me to make a weapon. Tsubaki continued. To be honest, I didn't want to make a weapon for you at that time. You were just a sword at that time, not a person. For a craftsman, how could he be willing to make a weapon for a weapon? Hearing Chun's sigh, Aic's eyes gradually wandered. She seemed to see herself swallowed by emptiness and nothingness in the past. At that time, she lost everything. The gentle mother, the heroic father. With their departure, the only emotion that belonged to her was also frozen. Only the flame of revenge that never extinguished remained, burning in her heart. At that time, she could not feel anything. Sadness, joy, sadness. None of them existed, just an empty shell with a beautiful appearance. The soul always wandered aimlessly in a dark space. Cannot find a home, nor can find rest. But you are changing now. The false shell of the puppet princess was dissipating, and the sharpness of the sword was also reduced. While speaking, Ching carefully looked at the girl in front of him from head to toe, as if confirming her current changes. But I have become stronger. Tsubaki's words brought Aic's scattered thoughts back to reality. There was no expression on her face, but her tone was very sure. She did not reject her own changes, but instead found peace after a long time. Maybe, King knows, ha 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 ha. I don't know about this, you know it best. Facing the girl's response, Tsubaki laughed heartily, and then returned the well-maintained sword of despair to Aisi. The most dangerous state of the sword is when it is hidden in the sheath, Tsubaki. You have indeed become stronger, and you will be stronger in the future. My lovely apprentice. Sioran looked at Tsubaki opposite, and then met the golden eyes in front of him. What burned inside was no longer black flames, but the pure fire of faith. After she recognized her own heart and obtained the seeds he gave, the road to becoming stronger has been unobstructed. What is soft is the heart, and itself. The sharpness of the sword will only become more fierce as it hides. It seems that you have also contributed to her transformation, hero, ha ha ha. Tsubaki seemed to see something and laughed heartily. Thank you. Taking the beloved sword, Aisi politely asked Tsubaki to thank her. Sioran also left the warmth at this time. No words are needed. The moment the two reached an agreement, their hearts had already been connected. Rest early, Tsubaki, You will also be the main force tomorrow. Haha, that's right, I'll leave first. After Tsubaki left, Sioran took Aisi to the grass not far away. Skillfully took the girl's hand, and then the two lay side by side. Looking quietly at the top of the floor, feeling the warmth transmitted from each other. There are a few irregular crystals growing on the zenith of the 50th floor. In this night-like twilight, it shines like starlight. I will accompany you, Aisi. Duh. Chapter 82 Big Hanging with Small Hanging. There is no sunrise or sunset in the underground maze. Except for a few crystals on special floors, only clocks can tell the time. In an open space on the 50th floor, a large number of tents are stationed. After confirming the current time, the tents in the camp began to flicker with dim phosphorescence. Then, the adventurers who participated in the expedition walked out tacitly. Sioran and Fearweiss were waiting in front of the camp. After a while, Finn led the core members of the Loki family to walk briskly. Orcs, elves, humans. The adventurers present almost covered all races. Various weapons flashed with brilliance, and the gems on the wands also exuded mystery. The elite troops who continued to go deeper were ready to go. He looked at the leader at the front of the team with a calm face. Then, let's go. Sioran and Finn looked at each other, and then issued the order to set off. Gather the main forces of the top combat power of the three factions. Calmly go to the entrance of the 51st floor. Finn's team is mainly responsible for the close combat of the vanguard. Sioran and his team are the central defenders. Livalia and Grace are in the back row to provide support and cover. In this joint expedition, Sioran will only serve as the last insurance. They need to face the real battle by themselves, unless they encounter an opponent that they cannot defeat at all. But this situation is basically impossible to happen. Except for Felzos, the other girls of the Hestia family are all in 4.4. The exploration after the 50th floor will be a big challenge for them. But it is also a time to achieve great things, and risks and crises always coexist. Master Chikusa, you are too nervous, please keep your distance. Lily Luca looked at the short-haired girl behind her and reminded her in a low voice. *7, 789. Starting from the 50th floor, the danger of the underground maze rises in a straight line. Chikusa, who came here for the first time, has not yet adapted and is a little behind. After being reminded by the clan leader, she reacted. Then she immediately adjusted quickly and kept up with the team's pace. Sioran walked at the end of the team without saying a word, maintaining his previous habits. The girls naturally understood his actions. Now the 900 center of the team is the little human girl. Filwazy is at the front of the team, followed by Ming and Daphne. Lily Luca, the commander, is in the middle. Following behind are Chikusa, Cassandra and Amid, who are responsible for assistance. The girls who have lived and fought together for a long time are already familiar with their respective positions. They cooperate with their companions' actions tacitly and are ready to support at any time. Stop chatting from now on and be ready to fight at any time. Finn, who was at the front, reminded all the teams loudly. They will face high-frequency battles next. After passing through the Grey Woods, there is a big hole in front of them. This is the passage connecting the 50th and 51st floors, a steep slope that is almost as dangerous as a cliff. There are a few pairs of eyes under the dark hole, peeking at them. They do not hide their malice. Dash. A disdainful cry sounded. After receiving the signal from the leader, the fierce wolf jumped directly into the passage. The silver boots on his feet raised a gust of wind, and then he kept shuttling through the group of monsters below. Werewolf Bert showed off his fierce and superb kicking skills and quickly solved the monster. The maze structure from the 51st to the 57th floor is very complicated. The cave rooms are connected by a unified passage. If a large-scale battle occurs, they will face an astonishing number of monsters. Therefore, the team took the 59th floor as the main goal and passed through the floors at a very fast speed. They did not want to waste too much time on the other floors. The walls on both sides cracked one after another, and the monsters that attacked again were black rhinos and deformed spiders. Black rhinos have strong durability and defense. Ordinary high-level adventurers can't even break their skin. The difficulty of deformed spiders is their spinning. Not only does it have a wide attack range, but it also has a considerable degree of stickiness. Once hit, it will greatly affect your agility and fall into the encirclement of monsters. And these are just appetizers. Facing the sudden attack, AISI roamed among the monsters with clever sword skills. At this time, she did not even use magic, and simply relied on her excellent combat awareness to fight the enemy. Every time the girl swung her sword, the silver cold light would take away the lives of a group of monsters. Tiona and Chen were equally unwilling to be outdone. They wielded their giant swords and axes with great courage, showing the wildness of Amazon heroes. They didn't even care about the blood of monsters on their faces. They were boiling with high fighting spirit and killing intent, and their instincts were cheering. Finn was the same. The usually calm brave man was violently sweeping the battlefield with his spear. They opened up the way forward. They were in the front and took most of the pressure for the team. The few monsters that broke through the defense line were easily harvested by Fearwise. For the elf girl approaching 4.7, these were just small fish. As for the attack from the rear, they were all taken by Livalia and Grace. Even Tsubaki, who preferred forging, kept killing monsters with a long sword. Inhale, exhale. Cold light flashes. According to the rhythm of breathing. The pure IAI slash of this craftsman is like an invisible field, preventing monsters from entering at all. Tsubaki is really excellent, but there is still a big gap between her and Kaguya in terms of interface. Sioran enjoyed the girl's fight with relish. From time to time, he made comments in his mind, completely ignoring the monsters around him. Tsubaki's IAI slash naturally attracted his attention. But compared with another Yamato Nadeshiko from the Far East, there is still a big gap. After all, Tsubaki spends most of his time on forging never deeply studied martial arts. And Kaguya has a very high talent in this aspect. Adding to her hard work and improvement, now one of the skills of the sword can be said to be the strongest in the city. Attention, a new species is coming. A large number of yellow-green lumps appeared in front of Finn, the same as the worms he met before. This new species of monster is a bit like a flatfish, and they rushed over collectively. Wake up! Knowing how difficult they are, Ace chanted magic directly, wrapped in the wind and faced the enemy head-on. The girl used the strong wind to protect her and swung out cold sword beams. The attached wind pressure blew away the corrosive liquid sprayed by the monster. To deal with this kind of new monster, the girl's wind is definitely a killer. Finn and the others did not hesitate and used the indestructible weapons in their hands. They harvested the new monsters at a high speed and suppressed their offensive in an instant. Closed light, frozen earth. Blowing snow all over the sky, 3 severe winters, nicknamed Alvar. The emerald green magic circle rose up, covering the entire battlefield in the blink of an eye. A huge wave of magic power came from the back of the team. This was the bombardment of the 9 magic princesses. Everyone retreat. Seeing this, Finn reminded AISI and the others who had already entered the enemy camp. The members who received the order quickly changed their formation and turned into the cannon muzzle form. While the vanguard resisted the pressure, Livalia's parallel chanting had ended. The magic circle under his feet rose with brilliance, and the royal elf raised the silver magic wand in his hand high. The gem on the wand flashed a dazzling light. Ecstasy Fimbul Winter. The exaggerated magic power turned into a cold pure white storm and went straight to the passage. The biting ice and snow froze everything that blocked it. The monsters in the field still retained their previous actions, but they could not move. The magic power formed a death storm that had blown away their life fire. Livalia's bombardment magic directly froze the entire passage. Worthy of being the strongest wizard in Orario. The light of the sky that I once rejected, the arms of mercy that saved my shallow body. Save my pitiful friends on behalf of my words that no one listens to. Cassandra, who had heard Lily Luca's command earlier, was about to finish her magic chant. The magic woven by the singing flashed with the green light of life. This was Cassandra's unique range recovery magic. Sunshine, may you fade away and perish. Light of Thor. As the chant ended, soft light rain fell on the adventurers shrouded in it. It quickly recovered their damaged injuries. What an excellent magic! Feeling her own physical and mental strength recovering at the same time, Livalia did not hesitate to praise Cassandra. Of course, the girls in our family make me very proud. Sioran turned around and smiled gently at the royal elves. These were all the delicate girls he carefully cultivated. Although Cassandra usually behaves very weak, her ability is very outstanding. The girl not only has powerful range recovery magic. There is also dispel magic that can detoxify and remove curses. Any kind of magic is unattainable by other families. Of course, Cassandra's most special skill is still the predictive skill. This has already involved the cause and effect of time. As for recovery magic, there is also a bug in her family, Amid. In general, the Hestia family is a big hanger with a small hanger. On the side, I heard the boy's affirmation. Cassandra, who was a little tired after casting magic, instantly regained her vitality. The recognition of her admirer is the best reward for her. Then, taking advantage of Livalia's magic, she temporarily froze the passage. The expedition team accelerated the pace of advancement and could already see the entrance to the 52nd floor. Oh! Dropped props. Tsubaki noticed the precious props left by the monsters around him and wanted to go forward to receive them. No, Chun, we've been locked. Lily, run. Sioran stopped her and then reminded Lily Luca. Without hesitation. The moment they heard the boy's words, the girls of the Circle tribe quickened their pace. Don't drag your feet, boys. Before Chun could react, the dwarf Grace at the back also urged loudly. It was as if something was driving them. Although the craftsman felt a little puzzled, he still followed them and accelerated forward. But soon she understood. The roar of some monster came, which sounded like the roar of a dragon. At the same time, some malice and murderous intent gradually surrounded everyone. Like Rahul, Lefia and other supporters who were behind in level. Even felt that his skin was tingling slightly, and the heart rate unconsciously accelerated. It's coming, Bert changed direction. Finn at the front also realized the danger and directed the members to leave the original route. What happened, Lord Sioran? During the journey, Amid couldn't suppress the doubts in his heart. There was obviously no monster in front. But her intuition told her that some fatal threat was coming. This made the girl who came to this floor for the first time fall into some kind of entanglement. Well, to put it simply, the bombardment magic is coming. It's just from the monster, he. Sioran gently answered the question of his own girl. At the same time, a playful smile rose on the corner of his mouth. Woo! Amid instantly understood what the boy meant. Although he was somewhat resentful of his leader's occasional bad taste. But there was no time to do these things, so he sped up again. The ground began to shake, and the walls around the maze also wailed. Boom dash. The surface where everyone was walking suddenly shattered. Followed by several huge fireballs like Red Lotus. The scorching energy gathering in between, it was obvious that it was about to explode. Lefia even smelled the scent of death from it. If there was no defense, as long as it was hit head-on, it would definitely die. The elf girl was sure that this was an instinctive reminder. Without any signs, The high temperature and deadly flames ruthlessly baked everything. The attack came from a deeper level. Echo. Pass on your wishes, forest robes. Realizing that she was locked by the enemy, Livalia quickly chanted a super short text. The emerald green magic code was draped over everyone, and the protection of the royal elves resisted the scattered flames. There are 7 heads, Finn. After a slight glance at the broken ground, Changran said this to the leader of the dwarf tribe. Finn instantly understood what he meant and quickly made a decision. Detour. Take the western route. Boom 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 boom. Facts have proved that the judgment of the brave man is completely correct. The previous bombardment was just the beginning. The original route was already being attacked by ranged attacks. If they were still on the planned route, they would have been bombarded by artillery fire. The fireballs transformed from the Red Lotus violently penetrated the floors. Ignoring the rules of the maze, it completely overturned the common sense inherent in adventurers. It mocked their past experience. Some monsters that wanted to attack the team were also burned to ashes by the deadly flames. Through the destroyed ground, you can vaguely see a few pairs of red pupils in the depths. They are filled with brutality and murderous intent, which is a sniper from the deep. Chapter 83, Teaching the Beautiful Girl's Talent. The bombardment from the depths completely disrupted the original route of the group. Finn had brought the first-level adventurers of his clan to this floor. But he did not expect to be sniped so early this time. Fortunately, he had prepared for this in advance and had a backup route. The expedition team is currently exploring another route. However, compared with the on-the-spot reaction of the first-level adventurers, the subsequent support team is not so fast. Finn's team at the front, and the girl in Sioran's care can flexibly deal with accidents in the maze. But the formation of the back row team cannot maintain its original appearance. Although the support team has 2 experienced first-level adventurers, Livalia and Grace. But there are more Rahul and others who are still at leave 4. The second-level adventurers who tend to assist are at a disadvantage in speed. At the same time, they have to face the Red Lotus fireballs from the depths. The fatal threat is stinging their senses and affecting their breathing rhythm. Therefore, the pace of the back row gradually became chaotic and a little tired. The suffocating pressure and fear were like invisible hands, grabbing their hearts tightly. Roar, 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 roar. The underground maze will not give adventurers any breathing space. It will only press step by step until the intruder is pushed into the abyss of the dead. During the march, the violent dragon roars continued to come from below, like the death knell that had already sounded. Leffy ya! Be careful! The rhythm of the exhausted elf girl was interrupted by the dragon's breath. In the entire elite team, she is the only 4.3. The girl is good at the burst of magic, and in terms of speed. In addition, this is her first time to come to this floor. Although I have heard about it from the royal elves a long time ago, I have also made up my mind. But when I actually saw this Red Lotus fire like hell, I still couldn't hide my shaken. Ignoring the rules of the floor, the 577 artillery attack. High-frequency battles. Extremely complex terrain structure. This is hell. The elf girl who fully knew this couldn't help but be in a trance. And at the moment when she lost consciousness, the deformed spider's web caught her. Perfectly grasp the opportunity, and don't allow any slackness. This is the world after the 50th floor. Hey! As soon as Leffy reacted, she saw the hideous mouth of the giant spider above her head. The monster's scarlet pupils flashed with bloodthirsty cruelty. Just when the deformed spider wanted to feast on it, the suddenly rising Red Lotus fire burned it to ashes. And the girl who was originally suspended in the air by the spider silk fell straight into the crack on the ground. That was the passage destroyed by the previous bombardment. 1+. The continuous accidents made Leffy temporarily lose her judgment. She could only watch her body falling down helplessly. The only thing the girl who fell at a high speed saw was deep darkness. No light could be seen, only coldness covered everything. Boundless malice attacked from all sides, and the spider silk seemed to be dragging her into the abyss. There was no way to know where the end was. The bombardment from countless layers shattered the ground of several layers of the maze. Roar dash dash. Hearing the familiar roar, Leffy Ya's blue pupils suddenly shrank. She had heard this death-prompting bell countless times before. Soon, a ray of light finally appeared between the dark caves. The first thing that caught the girl's eyes was a dazzling blush, followed by the scorching heat of death. The red lotus fireball with a diameter of several meters came towards her. In a trance, Leffy Ya seemed to have seen her own end. At the same time, she remembered the last words mentioned by the royal elf. Common sense before the 50th floor is completely useless in the subsequent exploration. Overturning all the common sense of adventurers in the past, this is the real hell. Is this my end? A flash of realization flashed in Leffy Ya's eyes, and she slowly closed her eyes with a lingering and reluctant look at life. Don't give up easily. Is your courage to challenge the unknown limited to this extent, Leffy Ya? A white figure suddenly appeared in the deep cave. At the moment Leffy Ya fell, Sioran quickly judged the situation in the field. The uniforms of the girls of the family contain his concept of immortality. Unless they continue to be attacked fatally, they will not be in danger of life. Besides, he deliberately added his own power to his own girl. If that happens, Sioran is not interested in the reaction of the underground maze. He was indeed wary of this unknown world. But that didn't mean he was afraid. His restraint in the past was for the Hestia family. If there was a crisis that would affect their lives, Sioran would definitely turn the place upside down, but the probability of this happening was extremely low. The monsters that existed at the moment could be dealt with by Philwace alone. Not to mention the existence of Finn and the others, it was not a life and death crisis. It was at most a big trouble. The most important of these was the bombardment from deep inside. So after instructing Philwace, Sioran chased after them. He held Leffy Ya in one hand and aimed the other hand at the flying red lotus fireball. As his slender fingers closed, the hot breath dissipated silently. The so-called bombardment was like air in front of him and could be blown away at any time. After saving Leffy Ya, Sioran didn't plan to go back directly. Since he had arrived here, he would take care of the culprit of the bombardment. They are now in a vertical passage connecting several layers of the maze. The Zeus family, which used to reign at the top of Orario, still holds the record for the highest floor of the maze. Sioran was not interested in reporting to the guild about his deep dive. Therefore, the record holder is still the former king. According to the information provided by the guild, Zeus and his family named this layer Dragon Pot. The source of the bombardment is the cannon dragon on the 58th floor, located deep in the Dragon Pot, Valgan Dragon. Mr. Sioran, why did Tao Hui? Feeling the warmth transmitted from the boy, Leffy Ya came back to her senses from her trance. Seeing this familiar handsome face, she didn't know how to describe her feelings at the moment. He saved her again. Although she was very unwilling, she was clearly ready to accept her own death. What a reckless elf, since Finn selected her into the elite team. How about having more confidence in yourself? Your existence is very important. Are you really willing to die like this, Leffy Ya? As if seeing through her thoughts, the sudden words hit Leffy Ya's heart hard. The elf girl stared at the boy in silence, her emotions changing in a complex way in her sleep. Your existence is very important. This sentence deeply penetrated Leffy Ya's heart. She was shrouded in despair and had given up struggling. But this figure was like the sun dispelling the dark clouds, causing the surrounding darkness to retreat continuously. It exudes a strange sense of existence, which makes people yearn for it. He also saw through his unwillingness and his desire. I want to live. I want to continue to adventure with Miss Ace and Lady Livalia. I want to continue to look at him. Hey, this look is good. That's it? No matter what kind of despair you face, you must struggle desperately for me. Looking at the light that has regathered in the blue pupils of the girl in his arms, Sioran's mouth curled up a little. This is worthy of the title of Thousand Fairies. It's worth it that he came to pick her up and stop the Amazon twins from going with him. But he seems to be particularly talented in teaching beautiful girls. First, the girls of his own family, and then Alicia and the others. Now, in addition to the Sword Princess, there seems to be another cute elf girl. It's really distressing. After a while, Sioran and Lefia fell completely to the 58th floor. The figures of the bombardment masters were fully revealed. They were all big red dragons standing on 2 feet. The body length was at least 10 meters, which was not inferior to the height of the masters on the upper floors. Red scales wrapped around the whole body, and wisps of steam rose on its surface. This is the state after the magic power has been greatly gathered, and the cave is full of heat. It seems that there are sparks in the air. The red eyes of the Valgan dragon stared at the 2 uninvited guests. The pressure of standing there alone is enough to make ordinary senior adventurers collapse. They are deep elite species. X. Lefia raised her head in Sioran's arms and looked at the monsters standing in front of her. There was an unconcealable tremor in her tone, and she had already guessed the answer in her heart. After all, the information of the cannon dragon had been recorded in the guild. Yes, they are the source of sniping us. Sioran smiled indifferently. After these guys are dealt with, the expedition team above should reduce most of the pressure. However, the sheep horns here are not me. Thinking of this, Sioran had a casual smile on his lips. He said gently to the girl in his arms, I will distract their attention in front, and you will defeat them. Lefia. Hey. Can I? Lefia answered weakly, and the oppressive feeling emitted by the monster in front of her almost suffocated her. In terms of ability value, there is indeed a big gap between them. You are the 1000 fairies, or do you want to be saved all the time? Although I don't mind, are you really willing? The gentle words contained sharp stimulation. Sioran could see through the unwillingness in the girl's heart. Without asking, he knew that Lefia must be the kind of person who tries too hard. From this point of view, she seems to be very similar to Aisi, whom he taught. A girl with this kind of personality will never be willing to stop moving forward. So Sioran made a decision while falling. Let Lefia be the main force to defeat the deep sniping cannon dragon. He will only be a guarantee for the girl's life, and the real leap needs to be achieved by herself. Adventurers evolve by constantly challenging the unknown and powerful enemies. The ability value of the cannon dragon in front of him is equivalent to the level of 4.5. On the surface, there seems to be an insurmountable gap between him and Lefia of 4.3. The gap. But this is only from the performance of the ability value. The cannon dragon is obviously a type that has specially strengthened the power of magic. And this level of attack cannot be launched instantly, and its breath must be charged. After someone restrains it in close combat, its strength is just so-so. The cannon dragon that sealed its breath is simply feared. In addition, Lefia's magic talent is extremely excellent. With the addition of special skills. Even if she is 4.3, she can release magic bombardment up to 4.5. These cannon dragons are just at the limit of her challenge, and can even reach the standard of great deeds. So with the restraint of the sudden, it is not impossible to defeat them. Do you want to be saved all the time? No. Absolutely not. Hearing the boy's words, Lefia felt a strong resentment in her heart. An inexplicable excitement surged in her chest, making the girl's smooth face turn rosy. Although she is a wizard in the back row, she has never thought of hiding behind her companions. What she has always longed for is to move forward with the members of her clan. Leffy Ya does not want to disappoint Livalaya and the others. Therefore, she will try her best to learn during the time when the royal elves teach her. She squeezes her time strictly like squeezing a sponge, constantly absorbing relevant knowledge. That look of over-effort has caused Livalaya to persuade her. And now, the girl has one more reason to be strong. I want to follow in his footsteps. I don't want to be saved by a hero anymore. Please leave it to me, Mr. Sioran. Soon, the flames will be released. Leffy Ya's firm will echoed between the caves, and then she began to weave songs. That's good. Sioran admired the extremely beautiful fairy girl at this moment. He never got tired of such a scene. Meet these girls with different personalities but dazzling souls. It was the scenery he loved to enjoy during his journey of transcendence. Roar. The cannon dragon seemed to sense the impending threat, and the temperature of the air gradually rose. The blue-purple light continued to gather, and the magic power in the monster's abdomen was running at full speed. Realizing that they were also trying to charge for bombardment, Sioran rushed directly to the dragon group. The fire of war approaching quietly, the inevitable destruction. The horn of war sounded loudly, and the violent turmoil will cover everything. Controlling the strength of his fists, Sioran continued to bombard the necks of the cannon dragons, breaking their faces. It's so tiring to show mercy. While interfering with the bombardment, Sioran also silently complained in his heart. If it weren't for witnessing the girl's evolution, I really wanted to kill them directly. Roar. The breath was interrupted one after another, and the group became violent. Waving the claws and dragon tail randomly, trying to tear apart the tiny figure in front of him. Come on, red lotus flames, brutal fire. You are the incarnation of fire. However, it's too slow. The cannon dragons that have specially strengthened their breath make their movements extremely clumsy. Even if they are not facing Sioran, Tina and the others can easily deal with it. Leisurely avoiding the attacks of the cannon dragons, Sioran occasionally hits their heads with his elbows. Sweep away thousands of troops and draw an end to large-scale wars. Roar, roar, roar. 5.5. Feeling the approach of death, the cannon dragons became more crazy. Some of them didn't even care about attacking their own kind, trying to block Chongran's actions with a siege. Burn everything, the sword of Sertel, my name is Alf. Ha, have you forgotten to strengthen your brains after strengthening the bombardment? Sioran looked at the cannon dragons that surrounded him with disdain, and his figure instantly disappeared from the spot. Leffy Ya's magic chanting has ended, so there is naturally no need to play with them anymore. Advanced Sword of Victory. This is a magic unique to the elf girl. As long as she masters the magic effects and chants of other elves, she can reproduce the magic of her own race through her own summoning magic. This time, Leffy Ya summoned the wide area annihilation magic of Livalaya, the strongest wizard in Orario. The light of the magic circle spread throughout the cave. A giant flame column rose from the girl's side, and then spread to the surroundings one after another. No need to speak. The moment the song was woven, Sioran had returned to Leffy Ya's side. Now, the raging flames are ruthlessly raging everything in the field. A frenzied firestorm rolled up in the cave. The previously dim cave was filled with bright red. As if purifying, the flames washed everything that existed here. Even the flying dragon from the 56th floor, attracted by the movement on the 58th floor. It was immediately turned into ashes in this exaggerated heat, and not even the magic stone was left. When the storm subsided, there was no trace of any monster in the cave. It was really neat and tidy. You worked hard, yeah. Hearing this, Leffy Ya, who had consumed a lot of magic and mental energy, smiled on her pale cheeks. This was the girl's response to him. P.S. Happy Dragon Boat Festival, friends. I don't know why I can't upload pictures recently. I was outside during the day these 2 days, so there is only one big chapter. Thank you for your continued support. Chapter 84, Bullying her harshly. Well done, take a good rest. I will take over the rest. Wuxia. Mr. Xiaoran. The wide area magic just released consumed too much of the elf girl's physical strength. Her body began to tremble slightly, and she was on the verge of exhaustion. But the look on her face was still extremely serious, trying to hold on to her fragile appearance. Seeing this, Xiaoran hugged Leffy Ya in his arms, ignoring her obvious hesitation. Please, please don't do this. Mr. Xiaoran. The elf girl lowered her eyes, somewhat afraid to look directly into the eyes of the boy in front of her. This was the first time she was so close to someone, and the object was an outstanding villager of the opposite S*X. She already had unspeakable thoughts, and was stimulated so strongly. For a moment, Leffy Ya didn't know how to react. A touch of pink appeared on her pale cheeks, and her delicate earlobes were also moist. It was like a blooming bright flower. Faced with the sudden warmth, the girl could only resist weakly, but her body did not move at all. I like your will, but don't be too strong. Reckless elf. Xiaoran lowered his head and whispered in Leffy Ya's ear, with a curve at the corner of his mouth. He was deliberately narrowing the distance between the two, occasionally teasing the pure elf girls and appreciating their shyness. This is the bad habit he developed on Fearwazy. Woo woo. Feeling the boy's warm heat, the tips of the elf girl's ears and face were stained with red at a very fast speed. She couldn't help but whisper softly, and tried to cover her already red face with her small hands. But she never noticed that the beauty on her chest became more attractive because she tightened her arms. The pink was rippling on Leffy Ya's fair skin like water waves. Pure white and charm were intertwined at the same time. Oops, I really want to bully her with Wolf. Seeing Leffy Ya's cute reaction, Xiaoran felt that some strange switch had been turned on. The cracking sound of the surrounding stone walls broke the slightly ambiguous atmosphere at the moment. The cave that had just been cleared became lively again. This was the refresh frequency of the deep monsters. It would hardly give the adventurers too much breathing time. Death was always close behind, and could blow out the flame of life at any time. In this dragon pod, the 58th floor and the 56th and 57th floors were all similar to ant nests, and were connected vertically. Therefore, once any movement occurred, it would be attacked by the 3 floors together. In addition to the big red dragon with a terrifying breath, the most gathered here are blue-purple flying dragons. They are all pterosaurs with a body length of more than 3 meters. They often come through the passage opened by the cannon dragon to attack enemies who accidentally fall into it. This is a paradise for dragon species and a hell for adventurers. Despair that makes people lose their courage can be seen everywhere. Roar, 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 roar. It didn't take long for the silence to arrive, and the flying dragons on the 56th and 57th floors began to wander in the air. When they found the uninvited guests on the lower floor, they swooped down quickly. At the same time, the cave walls on the 58th floor also began to breed new monsters. The Scarlet Tyranny can be vaguely seen, and the horror is about to break out of the shell. XT. The originally very shy Leffy Ya saw this scene. The deer in her heart was no longer excited, and the chaotic emotions were instantly dispersed by this dark malice. The elf girl's tough heart couldn't help but rise with a touch of despair. Not long after knocking down the cannon dragon, the maze began to breed again. With the dense flying dragons in the sky, she didn't know how to get out of this desperate situation. Her own physical strength was almost completely lost. With such a short recovery time, she could hardly even stand. Facing this situation, any adventurer who falls into this dragon pot will inevitably feel despair. But even so, she tried to get out of Xiaoran's arms again. She didn't want to be a burden to the boy, and she didn't allow herself to become powerless again. She wanted to face this hellish scene with him. It's really a headache. You're too serious, Leffy Ya. Didn't I say, just leave it to me? You have already proved yourself before. Just watch obediently from now on. Sioran stopped the girl in his arms and comforted her gently. He could naturally see what the girl was thinking at this moment. In terms of strength, the fairy in front of him is exactly the same as his own natural apprentice. But because of this, Yuan Ran is full of interest in teaching them like this. Leffy Ya looked at the handsome face in front of him speechlessly, and the blue eyes were reflecting a strange color. His words are always filled with this kind of magic that makes people feel at ease. Facing these deep black eyes, the frequency of restlessness in the depths gradually became calm. As long as he is here, I have nothing to fear. Besides, dying here with him seems unexpectedly good. Hey, girl, have you read any cheesy romance novels? Sioran's expression was a little subtle. Looking at Leffy Ya, who was ready to die in his arms. He probably guessed what the girl was thinking at the moment, which really made him laugh and cry. T.I. Facing the flying dragon swooping down from the sky and the cannon dragon with exaggerated magic power gathered in its mouth in front of him. Any adventurer would feel desperate when encountering such a tacit attack. Unfortunately, he has never been an adventurer. Hold me tightly, yeah. Sioran signaled the fairy girl in his arms to hold on tight. Under the premise that he could not use the law for the time being, he mostly used sword skills to sweep the battlefield. But it was called sword skills, but in fact it was just a simple slash. Yes, Mr. Sioran. It seemed that because she had made mental preparations, Leffy Ya was not as shy as before. Although her cheeks were still flushed, she took the initiative to put her arms around Sioran's neck. She changed her usual timidity and showed a gentle smile on her face. Well, never mind, this is not bad. Feeling the soft touch on his chest, Sioran gave up the idea of asking the girl to open her eyes. The current situation seems to be good, anyway, he is quite comfortable. It's just that the delicate body in his arms seems to be better developed than he imagined. You have a bright future, Leffy Ya. Ignoring the attack in front of him, Sioran's thoughts gradually spread. And then, a dark sword shadow appeared. When the goddess blade appeared, the monster group had a very short pause. Even if they only have the killing instinct given by the maze, the wild intuition is reminding them. If the monsters here have their own reason, they will know. The emotion that is constantly growing in their souls is called fear. Understand the will of the master. Strands of dazzling light rose from the sword, and the holy words jumped happily at the same time. The long-lost appearance made the goddess blade very happy. As the silver light flowed, the space around Sioran was completely cut open. The artillery fire of the big red dragon, which was enough to penetrate several layers of the maze, was like air in front of this brilliance. The attack of the weak bugs on the master in front of him made the goddess blade angry. Before Sioran swung, the cold sword light took the initiative to turn into a giant net covering the battlefield. The air and the stone wall could not help but make a mournful cry, and the darkness around them also retreated one after another. As if reflecting the character of the master. The goddess blade has the softness that belongs to its master. It also has the cold and ruthless sharpness. As the sword net spread, the flying dragon swooped into the air, and bloodlines appeared on its body in an instant. There seemed to be a trace of doubt in the scarlet pupils, not understanding why he suddenly stopped. Crack, crack, crack. That was the sound of the magic stone breaking continuously. The flying dragon that was stuck in the air turned into smoke and dust, and countless dropped props kept falling. The big red dragon that blocked Sioran's body also dissipated together with the charged artillery. The group of monsters that ravaged the dragon pot were cleared in the blink of an eye. The goddess's blade that knew the master's thoughts did not cause damage to the maze itself. It just killed all the bugs that offended the master. Very smart, I look forward to your future evolution. As if responding to the master's affirmation, the black longsword kept humming. It was as crisp and pleasant as a jade bead rolling to the ground. Am I dreaming? Leffy Ya opened her azure eyes at some point and stared blankly at the empty cave. The disaster seen not long ago disappeared completely in the blink of an eye. Only the countless props that fell on the ground proved that it was not a dream. How does it feel? It seems to hurt a little. After Sioran gently pinched Leffy Ya's tenderness, the elf girl covered her cheek and answered cutely. What about now? Seeing the girl in this state, Sioran's smile became light, and he leaned his forehead against the light in front of him. He broke into the elf girl's heart. Woo woo woo. The warm touch from the forehead completely ignited Leffy Ya's previously wandering thoughts. She immediately realized the current situation and the distance that made her heart beat faster. Mr. Sioran, please don't get so close to me all of a sudden. Oh, isn't this Leffy Ya dreaming? It's okay to get closer. No, not pure. The shy voice of the fairy girl echoed in the cave. The dark cave began to be filled with pure white thoughts. After Sioran went to save Leffy Ya, Finn led the team to advance deeper at a very fast speed. Even if you believe in the strength of the hero, the changes in the depths often exceed the cognition of adventurers. If they are isolated and helpless for a long time, they will definitely encounter a crisis. Sioran, no, I'm busy teasing the beautiful girl. We must reunite with them. The calm and wise brave man instantly understood the most important task at the moment. With the same goal, the pace of the expedition team's advancement has been accelerated again and again. In the front team, a rare worry appeared on Ace's face, and the sword of despair in her hand kept waving. Batch after batch of monsters who were not afraid of death fell at her feet. The ground was littered with broken bodies. Poisonous scorpions, giant silver snakes, lightning snakes. No monster could stop the girl's determination to move forward. Don't block my way, you monsters. Shin, who was beside the blonde girl, was not as gentle as she was in front of Sioran. Her face was full of anger and the madness of an Amazon warrior. She was wantonly waving an axe gun that was completely disproportionate to her body, opening up a path in front of the team. With the departure of her lover, the twin sister opened fire. Yingjia's ardent love turned into a high will to fight, and she galloped wildly in the maze. She violently and ruthlessly crushed everything in front that tried to block her love. Compared to the excitement of Ace and the twins, the girls of the Hestia family seemed very calm. Although they knew the strength of their own leader, they were inevitably worried. But they knew more clearly what they should do now. Fulvice killed the remaining monsters in front of the family team with an indifferent look. After he left, it was her responsibility to protect her companions. Although she knew the strength of the person she admired, she was still restless. From the beginning to the end, the elf girl had only one spiritual harbor. Without Sioran by her side, Feyerwazi remained in this state. The other girls were no longer surprised by this. The bombardment from below stopped. It should be Sioran and Leffy Ya who did it. Finn, who reached the 52nd floor, noticed that there was no more bombardment from below. With their experience, they naturally understood why. After realizing that Sioran and Leffy Ya were still safe, they all breathed a sigh of relief. But when advancing to the 53rd floor, Finn felt the pain from his thumb. Attention! New species, there are still enemies. The passage ahead was covered with dense larvae, forming a disgusting sea of yellow-green. In the center of the larvae, there was a huge worm. On its back stood a figure wearing a black robe and a mask. His attire was very similar to that of the members of the Dark Faction. But judging from the worms controlled by it, it seemed that Ping had a connection with the weirdos. The moment the two sides came into contact, there was no extra conversation. There was only undisguised cold-killing intent. Kill them. Then, as the black-robed man finished speaking, the larvae began to attack. The next moment, the Emperor's corrosive liquid sprayed at the expedition team at the same time. This was a coordinated attack with a command. Evil breaking Holy Grail, transformed into a shield. God of Salvation Holy Grail. Feierwazi quickly completed the parallel chanting. The pure white barrier symbolizing the girl's nobleness stood in front of the team. After blocking all the attacks, the elf girl once again wove the sound of magic. Rare anger appeared in her eyes, and the piercing murderous aura went to the blocker. Evil breaking holy staff sweep my enemies. God of Dionysus staff. Liao Wangzhao, the blue-purple thunder dragon, which was far stronger than before, ravaged the larvae in the passage. The vast yellow-green ocean was torn in half from the center. Don't get in my way. Then, the long sword on Feierwazi's waist turned into a flash of light. He rushed directly to the black-robed man who had just dodged the thunder dragon. The sharp sword energy completely locked him, making it impossible for him to escape. The elf girl was already irritable, and she could not suppress it at this time. She just wanted to kill all the enemies who tried to stop him from joining her. If you block it, you will die, and if you touch it, you will die. Ah! The black-robed man wanted to resist with the metal arm guards on both hands. But the pure white rapier specially blessed by Sioran was not something that could resist. One of the black-robed man's arms was ruthlessly cut off, and bright red burst out directly. Carnivorous plant. As the black-robed man screamed, several carnivorous plants appeared beside Feierwazi. Seeing this, the elf girl frowned slightly and dealt with the monsters around her first. The black-robed man who seized the opportunity was swallowed by the carnivorous plant in the surprised eyes of everyone. Then, the carnivorous plant that swallowed him quickly drilled through the ground and evacuated. When Feierwazi finished clearing the field, the black-robed man was no longer seen. The opponent's previous action was too decisive, and Finn and the others did not react. He could actually escape through the piranha plant, which was somewhat beyond their expectations. The elves around the Argonauts are so powerful. Diona was a little surprised. This was the first time they saw Feierwazi take action seriously. Whether it was her skilled parallel chanting skills, or her superb sword skills, the first-level adventurers of the Loki clan were amazed. A fairy following the hero. Finn seemed to be suddenly impressed, and then everyone continued to move forward. P.S. The author naturally knows that the masked man is the incarnation of the fairy in the original book. However, according to Dionysus's bad character, any member of the family will be an experimental subject. So please don't worry about this, just treat him as an unknown weirdo. No need to go up. Chapter 85, Her Unique Trial. Sioran, who roughly guessed Finn's thoughts, was holding Lefia and walking upstairs. When they arrived at the 57th floor, a group of larvae suddenly came from all directions. At the same time, an astonishing number of flying dragons were hovering in the air, waiting for the opportunity to pounce. It was like a giant net that had been prepared long ago, just waiting for the arrival of the destined person. Just when the ordinary monsters attacked Sioran and his group. As a new species, the larvae reacted to the monsters' magic stones. Therefore, while the larvae attacked Sioran, they also devoured the magic stones in the bodies of other monsters. The situation in the field gradually became chaotic. The roars and wails of the monsters filled the entire 57th floor. Miss Ace and the others will be fine. Lefia, who gradually got used to Sioran's exaggerated strength, was a little worried about the situation of the expedition team. With Finn and our girl's strength, it's more than enough to deal with this level. But since Lefia is so worried, I'll speed up a little. In her puzzled eyes, Sioran answered gently. Soon, the elf girl understood what the boy meant by slightly. Lefia couldn't say anything at all, and the scenery around her was disappearing rapidly. A silver flash was constantly shuttling through the chaotic monster battlefield. The atmosphere was torn in half, and any monster that tried to block it turned into dust in front of it. Corrosive liquids and scorching fireballs were blown away by the terrifying wind pressure. Completely ignoring all kinds of accidents on the floor, it easily crossed the entire maze. Sioran was holding the elf girl and moving forward at an exaggerated speed. This was the result of his deliberate slowdown, otherwise the floor would have been blown away long ago. Sioran joined the expeditionary force on the 53rd floor. "We've reached the final destination, yeah." When Sioran put Leffy Ya down, the elf girl was still a little dizzy. At the previous extreme speed, she couldn't make any sound at all. If it weren't for his carrying protection, Leffy Ya felt that she would be torn apart by the exaggerated pressure. She believed that even the chariot known as the fastest in the city, it would never reach the realm of the boy. Hero is the strongest in the city in every sense. Leffy Ya deeply recognized this. BJ. After noticing the inexplicable look in the eyes of the family members, the elf girl finally came to her senses. At the same time, she also realized that her appearance in the arms of the boy just now was clearly seen by her family members. Leffy Ya. So you are also an opponent, then I will not show mercy. Shin's originally happy eyes froze slightly when she saw the scene in front of her. Then the Amazon hero loudly issued his declaration, not caring about the strange looks of others. The burning love in his chest was enough to suppress the instinctive fighting spirit flowing in his blood. Lord Sioran, it seems that you have been doing well during your absence. We really worry too much. Feyerwazi came to the boy without leaving any trace, and said indifferently. But the hidden resentment in her words was very obvious. It was rare to see an elf girl like this, which made Sioran smile. Sorry, I made you worry. After responding softly to his own girl, Sioran skillfully rubbed the softness of Jizang's silk. The touch was as comfortable as ever. Really? I hope you will be a little more self-conscious in the future. Hearing his answer, Feyerwazi's tone softened instantly. The forced calmness on her face could no longer be maintained, and her beautiful face could not help but soften. Whenever he touched her like this, her restless heart would calm down. Only by his side was her spiritual home, and this had never changed. After sorting out her emotions, Feyerwazi stayed quietly by her side. After comforting the other girls, the expedition team chose to move forward. Because of Sioran's previous exaggerated sweep, the number of monsters on the subsequent floors was not large. Most of them were still in the cool-down period of refreshing. Finally, after several hours, the expedition team arrived at the entrance to the 59th floor. Looking at the target in front of them, Finn asked the troops to stop and rest for the time being, and did not rush to explore. They were about to face an unknown floor that they had never challenged before. Therefore, the most important thing at the moment was to restore their energy to deal with possible accidents later. Lady Cassandra, please use magic again. Hearing Lily Luca's words, Cassandra immediately began to chant. The light of heaven that I once rejected, the arms of mercy that saved my shallow flesh. Save my pitiful friends on behalf of my words that no one believes. Sunshine, you should repel the extinction workers. Light of Thor. The soft light once again sprinkled on the tired adventurers. Under this green cover, everyone's physical strength and spirit were recovering rapidly. Thank you very much, Miss Cassandra. Finn, who was not far away, thanked the girl politely. For the expedition team, recovery magic is an extremely important part. It is related to whether the exploration in the underground maze can continue. Therefore, Livalia, Cassandra and Amide who have recovery magic must be the core of this expedition. No. You're welcome. Cassandra hid behind Sioran and answered timidly. It is hard to imagine that the weak girl in front of her has such excellent magic. Except for the members of the family, the girl is a little shy of the others. Then, during a period of slight adjustment, Finn took out the exploration records left by Zeus's family. According to the information written on it, the 59th floor is the glacier area. Its bitter cold current is enough to affect the actions of the first-level adventurers. Therefore, the members of Loki's family are now wearing bright red clothes. This is a protective gear containing the power of the Fire Fairy, which has a strong cold-proof function. Fierwazi and the others don't need it. The family uniforms that Sioran carefully prepared for them can withstand all adverse environments. If it weren't for the power of the rule level, it would not affect them at all. But Finn, it seems that the Fire Fairy's protective gear is no longer needed at the moment. Sioran stared at the dark passage in front of him with interest. You noticed it too, Sioran. Finn naturally understood what he meant. The leader of the dwarf tribe had doubts from just now. If the 59th floor is really a glacier world, then why can't the cold wind that can slow down the first-level adventurers be felt from this passage? Combined with what the white-haired ghost who had deliberately lured Isai here said before, it is not difficult to guess that the 59th floor should have undergone a huge change. The records left by Zeus's family in the past may be useless now. However, Finn and his friends are still wearing the Fire Fairy armor for safety reasons. The brave man chose the most calm approach as always. Soon after the rest, everyone's spirits reached their peak. The time to climb to the unknown floor has come, and the expedition team decisively walked into the dark passage. During the journey, as the stairs went deeper and deeper, the temperature of the air rose instead. So far, it has been thoroughly confirmed that the 59th floor has undergone unimaginable changes. The previous speculation has come true. Finn and his team took off the red fairy coat and continued to explore with a solemn face. Darkness. Endless darkness. Swallowed everything and left only thick black. I don't know how long I walked, and finally a ray of light appeared in front. Wait until I completely walked out of the passage. The scene I saw was not a towering glacier, nor a river as imagined. The 59th floor, where the Loki family first arrived, was full of bright colors. This is a cave room larger than the dragon pot on the 58th floor. Surrounding it are countless vegetation covering the entire floor. Tall and dense trees stand in the cave, and various flowers and plants are nestled at their roots. The scene here is highly similar to the big tree maze on the 24th floor. The top floor, the ground, and the walls are all made up of various kinds of vegetation. It's like an oversized big tree maze. Isai, what you care about is in front. The moment he stepped into the floor, Sioran noticed the changes on the 59th floor. It was indeed a glacier area as recorded by Zeus's family. But the current scene is almost the same as the 24th floor. It's just that this floor is more vast and the vegetation is more lush. And in the wide space in front of the dense forest, there is something with a blood breath similar to Isai. Hearing Sioran's words, I walked to the front without hesitation to open the way. When she stepped into here, she had a strange feeling, as if someone was calling her. The feedback from the blood in her body was closeness and disgust. The two originally opposing emotions were intertwined at this time. This made the girl very confused, and she didn't know why she had such a feeling. Sioran didn't say much. What was waiting ahead was a trial that belonged to her alone. When they met later, Aisi would naturally understand. This was a high hurdle that she needed to cross by herself, and Sioran would not help. It took a lot of time for everyone to walk out of the wide and dense forest before. Now the scene in front of them was a wilderness with no visible edge. What is that? Diona, holding a large double blade, stared blankly at the center of the wilderness. In this vast open space, there were countless piranha plants and larvae. In the center of their gathering, there was a plant giant monster that looked like a female upper body. The same size as the floor master, exuding a strange breath, an inexplicable sense of oppression. Everything attracted the attention of the expedition team. Giant flower demon. Livalia looked at the giant monster in the distance carefully, and remembered some similar monsters in the depths. Giant flower demon is a huge plant monster that lives in the deep area. Also known as the corpse king flower, it will eat anything, whether it is a fellow adventurer or a fellow adventurer. The monster's body shape is very similar to the one in front of you. In the wilderness, countless larvae and colorful magic stones spit out from the mouth of the piranha plant. Like a pilgrimage, the humanoid giant in the center devoured its tribute greedily. The larvae and the piranha plants that lost their colorful magic stones turned into dust and piled up on the ground. Seeing this scene, the people in the expedition team couldn't help but look at their feet. What a joke! Shin's pupils stared at the gray dust all over the ground. If these are all the leftovers of the monster in the middle, then how many magic stones did she swallow? The enhanced species of ordinary piranha plants can reach 4.3. What kind of monster is this one that has swallowed a lot of magic stones? Even the brave Amazon warrior couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart. The enemy is an existence beyond the standard. Shin's intuition after countless battles reminded her so. Trouble. Finn's thumb felt a pain he had never felt before. This was a fatal threat. There was no need to test it. Just looking at him like this could make him feel a certain oppression. The plant monster in front of him was definitely an opponent of level 4.7 or even higher. The brave man could be completely sure of that. Unlike their obvious violent reactions, Isai was filled with confusion. The moment the girl saw the monster, she forgot everything around her. All the sounds gradually faded away, and only the wailing sound of her heart beating faster and faster echoed in her mind. She was temporarily unable to speak, and her thoughts were interrupted by it. After eating about half of the tribute, the female monster made a sound similar to the deformed part of the head. Accompanied by its painful roar, waves of magic rolled around it. That was enough to horrify the people who were just watching from a distance. At the same time, disgusting tumors continued to appear on the upper body of the female monster. Then an unbelievable scene appeared. Like a butterfly emerging from a cocoon. The originally disgusting and ugly upper body of the female body became delicate and graceful. Soft arms, slender waist, full bust. As the magic light faded, the female monster in colorful clothes was fully displayed in front of everyone. She opened her arms in surprise and faced the top of the building that was tens of meters high. The trembling profile was no less than that of a goddess, and her whole body was covered with green. The golden pupils were extremely gray, deep malice settled in them. Her lower body also changed, growing huge petals and countless tentacles. The surrounding carnivorous plants and larvae howled, as if celebrating her birth. Impossible. The scene in front of her was like feathering. It made the spirit in Aic's eyes dim, and her heart almost jumped out of her chest. The blood flow reached its peak at this moment, and an abnormal blush appeared on her face. Arya! Arya! The female monster opened her arms and shouted the name loudly. The tentacles under her body kept waving, indicating the owner's excited emotions. Finally, when the two pairs of golden eyes met, Aisi uttered with trembling voice. Fairy spirit! Come on! Chapter 86, Only cheer for the beautiful girl. Fairy! How could that guy be a fairy? Hearing Aisi's whisper, Dione stared at the enemy in front of her in disbelief. Since ancient times, fairies have been known as the most beloved children of the gods. They all have impeccable dreamy faces and special talents. In both strength and appearance, they are fairy tale-like in past legends. But this very different monster in front of her was actually identified as a fairy by Aisi. Even the Amazon hero, who is a bit careless on weekdays. I dare not believe this guess. But ignore the ugly shape of the other party's lower body. The slender figure and beautiful appearance of the upper body are indeed similar to fairy. Why would the fairy blessed by the gods become like this? Rivalia's eyes also lost the indifference and calmness of the past. She could only sense the dark and deep malice from the enemy in front of her. There is no agility and elegance belonging to the fairy at all. The royal elves could hardly believe that the once noble race would become a filthy existence today. To be precise, she was once a fairy. Sioran walked to Aisi and held his apprentice's hand with a little pity. Then he gently exerted force, trying to calm her restless mood in this way. The girl's mood at this moment was completely disturbed by the figure in front of her that was out of standard. The boiling emotions in her blood and the other party's shouting of her name made it impossible for her to remain calm. Sioran, what do you mean? Finn seemed to understand the deep meaning of the boy's words, and his brows could not help but frown. You guessed right, Finn. Sioran saw through the thoughts of the leader of the dwarf tribe and responded with affirmation. 607. Then seeing the doubts in the eyes of the others, he continued to say too. The monster in front of you was indeed a fairy in the past, but now it should be called a fallen fairy. Now she has been infected by the malice of the will of the maze, and her noble blood has been tainted. The one in front of me is just a clone, the real one is probably hiding deeper. After entering the 59th floor, Sioran fully understood Cassandra's prophetic dream. The disasters in the prophecy are mostly the immortals infected by the maze. The monster in front of her is just one of her clones. According to the level of adventurers, she belongs to the level of 4.7. The real body is more than this level. Before the gods came down to the world, the immortals were the race that received the oracle. In the chaotic period of ancient times, countless monsters ravaged the surface of the earth, and all races were ravaged by them. Faced with the few heroes who can repel monsters, immortals who accepted the instructions of the gods appeared one after another. They will guide the heroes to grow on behalf of the gods and fight against the black malice together. Since ancient times, the stories of immortals and heroes are often recorded in every hero story. Thus the epic is passed down to this day. Its essence is the history of the struggle of heroes guided by the gods through immortals. In the big hole of the maze of Orario, the gods sent the most immortals to this place. The current fallen fairy must be one of the ones who were responsible for guiding the group. The race that was originally blessed by the gods has been tainted into its current filthy state. In the past, some fairy had strength that was not inferior to heroes. Therefore, when the fairy fell, its strength was definitely a disaster. The monster in 4.7 in front of us was obviously just her clone, and it could not be called a disaster at all. However, for everyone at the moment, even the strength of the clone is enough to be considered a peak. After hearing the boy's judgment, everyone fell into a dead silence. The fairy spirit that was synonymous with beauty in Japan is now as cold and cruel as a monster. This huge sense of disparity makes it impossible for them to express their complex emotions. Among them, Livalia and Ace's hesitation is particularly obvious. No need to be confused, my apprentice. You only need to know one thing, she is your enemy. Sioran understands the girl's current thoughts. Gently put his forehead on her smooth face and look at her seriously. Ace's once clear golden eyes are now filled with confusion and helplessness. The monster in front of her that is beyond her understanding makes her wonder how to deal with it. The originally firm heart was strongly impacted at this time. But when she felt the familiar warmth, Ace gradually came back to her senses from the complex thoughts. The black eyes close at hand contain deep expectations. Whenever she couldn't tell the direction, he would always appear by her side. As he said before, he had been waiting for her in front. The strange emotions rising in her heart began to dispel the shadow that wanted to disturb her. The golden eyes gradually glowed, and Aisi determined what to do at the moment. As if to confirm the girl's thoughts, the boy's gentle voice sounded. You have to defeat her. The achievements and pride of the fairy spirit in the past have been tarnished. You need to wash away the shame of the bloodline being polluted, so that she can retain the last dignity. Sioran passed his will to Aisi, who was confused at the moment, without reservation. No need to hesitate, just cut off the filth in front of you. No need to hesitate, retain her last dignity as a fairy spirit. Because you are the only bloodline of the great fairy spirit Arya in this world. She is the trial you must overcome. Understanding his meaning, Aisi couldn't help but put her hand on the soft part of her chest. It was like some kind of oath, and it was like self-affirmation. I will defeat her. Very good, I think the gap has been closed. Seeing Aisi return to her former state, Sioran smiled with satisfaction. Due to the blood flowing in the girl's body, she is destined to be the protagonist of this battle. Now she is facing only an avatar, and in the future she will face the real body of the fallen fairy. Arya's guardian wind is the cause, and what Aisi will encounter now and in the future is the result. Sioran, who knows this, will not take action, and has specially informed her own elf girl. Otherwise, relying on Fierwazi alone, it would be enough to single-handedly kill the monster in front of her. The elf girl who received the most teachings from Sioran, her true strength has long been able to easily surpass the level. However, this is the first time she faces the avatar of the fallen fairy, so her main opponent will be Aisi. The pollution suffered by the fairy blood must naturally be washed away by the girl with the same blood. Hee, is this a heroic battle declaration? Won't you give us a few words too? Finn made a joke for the first time in a long time, and the calmness on his lips disappeared unconsciously. I only cheer for beautiful girls. Besides, Finn, will you choose to retreat? Sioran teased the leader of the dwarf tribe a little, and the expression on his face was obviously seeing through. A man who wants to become the courage of a tribe is not so simple and fragile. Ha. It's so obvious, I really can't hide it from you. But Sioran, you are right. I never need to retreat, I will only use the gun in my hand to open up everything I want. The gentleness on Finn's face disappeared, revealing a completely different madness from the past. Seeing this, Sioran knew that the leader of the dwarf tribe had rarely removed his falseness. The brave man who always responds to others' expectations is ultimately an adventurer. You are still on the battlefield, what are you doing? But it really makes me feel a rare kind of blood boiling. Seeing the two people joking without scruples. The elegant royal elf smiled helplessly, and then a fearless look appeared on his face. Obviously, Livalia was also aroused by a high desire to fight. That's what makes it fun. Come on, my lovely girls. Yes. Needless to say, the tacit understanding between Yuan Ran and the girl of the machine has long been deeply rooted in the soul. The Hestia family itself is a whole that blends body and mind. Let me eat you, Arya. After venting the joy of evolution, the fallen fairy showed a crazy smile to Aisi and the others. The dark cruelty and coldness were reflected in the dim golden pupils, and she did not hide her deep malice. As her words fell, the piranha plants and larvae gathered under her feet rushed towards the expeditionary force at the same time. Like the loyal guards of the queen, they launched an attack to defend the immortality. Boom boom boom. The sound of boulders collapsing came from the passage behind. The monster obviously wanted to keep everyone here. Completely cut off the possibility of the expeditionary team's evacuation. Wake up. Decisively calling for her own protection, Aisi took the lead in attacking the enemy with a strong wind. The golden shadow galloped across the battlefield like a valkyrie. Cleanly destroyed everything that wanted to block her. The strong wind pressure easily blew away the monster's offensive, leaving only the bloody remnant area. Arya. Seeing the fierce attack coming from Aisi, the fallen fairy launched a counterattack. The tentacles under her body instantly shot out, trying to stop the girl's steps forward. It's so heavy. In order to protect Aisi, the Amazon twins chose to face the attack head-on. But the vibration from their hands exceeded their imagination. The opponent's attack was not only of amazing speed, but also of exaggerated force. The hands of Shin and Tiona were shaking slightly as they took the attack. The moment Isai took action, the core combat power of the Loki family responded. The first-level adventurer who was good at close combat took the plan to face the abnormal monster in front of him. With Isai as the main attacker, the others were responsible for solving the obstacles that affected the progress of the Sword Princess. And magicians like Lefi Ya provided firepower cover in the back row, continuously tearing open the encirclement of the yellow-green ocean with artillery magic. Be careful, something is coming. Finn, who was waving a spear to repel the tentacles, suddenly felt a vibrating pain from his thumb. He had a bad feeling. The uncontrollable situation had been happening since he came to the 59th floor. Soon, the uneasiness in the heart of the leader of the dwarf tribe was confirmed. The fallen fairy living in the middle of the wilderness showed a calm smile. Then, in the shocked eyes of the crowd, he began to weave magic music. Fire, come on. What a joke, even if it is a fairy, can it use magic after falling? Seeing the scene in front of her, Daphne lost her composure. Monsters can chant magic? This completely shattered their cognition and cruelly overturned the common sense of the past. Dear adventurers, please return immediately. Lady Livalia, Lady Fulvice, defensive magic. After Finn rushed to the front line, Lily Luca, who was in charge of temporary command, made a decisive decision. Hearing this, the royal elves and the guardian fairies chanted the spell at the same time. Evil-breaking Holy Grail, transformed into a shield. Dance gracefully, Spirit of the atmosphere, Lord of light. Make a contract with the guardian of the forest, embrace us with the song of the earth, and contain us. At the same time, the fallen fairy spirit also accelerated the chanting speed. A huge magic circle rose under her, and the dark red ominous magic filled the entire wilderness. Roar, roar, vortex of flames, cliff of red lotus, roar of hellfire, help to raise the power of strong wind to close the world. The burning sky, the burning earth, the burning ocean, everything is reduced to scorched earth. Fire the cannon of anger and sighs at the cost of the life of the hero I love. The fallen fairy continued to weave an ominous and long spell. The temperature in the field was rising, and the dark red halo was spreading. The air also became dull at this moment, and the monster's huge magic power made everyone feel almost suffocated. Lefi Ya tried to interrupt the chanting of the fallen fairy, but it didn't work. Countless tentacles and huge petals are the monster's front-line defense. The magic of the elf girl can't even touch her. With the magic sound, it is about to end. 5.6. The perfect face of the fallen fairy gradually twisted, full of indifference and cruelty. It seems to be laughing at the adventurer in front of him who is overestimating his own ability. God of the world, Holy Grail of salvation. Transform into a great barrier of forest light to protect us, my name is Alf. The road to Solheim. Filwace and Livalia, who finished chanting first, set up the strongest defense. The pure white barrier blocked everyone, and the green forest light turned into a protective barrier. Following closely, the fallen fairy also finished chanting a very long text. In the name of the agent, I commanded that the name given to me is the Queen of Fire Spirits. Firestorm. The dark red light rose, and the ocean formed by magic power roared. The raging offensive swept in. The world was left with only one color, red. Kayat. Continuously burning. The group of monsters guarding the female body instantly broke into powder, including Kubu 10. The huge waves of flames continued to hit the white barrier. The pure white barrier gradually showed fiery red lines, and in an instant, it covered the entire light curtain. Then, shattered. Then, the flames turned into a storm and wrapped around the green barrier. The green and red kept colliding, consuming each other's endurance. The barrier also had cracks, but at the same time, the intensity of the firestorm was rapidly decreasing. Accompanied by the sound of the barrier breaking, the flames also completely disappeared, and only a wave of heat came. After the enemy's magic was raging, the space was full of heat. Water vapor continued to rise in the wilderness, because the air was roasted by the terrible high temperature. All I saw was a dry scene. Chapter 87, The car is about to overturn. Seeing the wilderness ravaged by the fire, second-level adventurers like Rahul couldn't help showing fear. Orario's two 4.6 wizards barely blocked the enemy's bombardment. If it weren't for their defensive magic, I would have been burned to ashes in an instant. Under this exaggerated attack, they had no resistance at all. Rahul knew this. The unprecedented strong enemy made this adventurer who had experienced the dark period tremble. However, despair was just beginning. The scene in front of them once again gave the expedition team a powerful hammer. In the field, the fallen fairy spread her hands, as if hugging her lover. But the reality was cruel. Countless blue-purple powders gathered around her, which were all traces of the broken magic stone. She was absorbing all the magic power in the field to replenish her previous consumption. Then the dark red light rose again. You must be kidding. Leffy Ya's tone was filled with despair. Is the bombardment magic coming again? The enemy's abnormal recovery ability and non-stop offensive are enough to break the courage of most people. Oh? Want to retreat? Sioran looked at the team whose morale was severely damaged and asked gently. Although it was a soft word, everyone felt the piercing coldness. Sure, if you are afraid, you can ask me for help. I will save you. Ignoring everyone's astonishment, Sioran's smile became even bigger. However, his eyes were full of indifference. Except for Isai, Fulvice, and Finn, they could still maintain their fighting spirit. The rest of them gradually lost their edge more or less, and they were not as high as they were at the beginning. Obviously, the previous bombardment of the fallen fairy spirit brought them great pressure. This level of will is not acceptable, and the opponent is by no means an insurmountable level. If it was really an enemy of that level, Sioran would have already taken action. Angry. Extremely angry. Hearing the undisguised mockery of the hero, the originally slightly discouraged male adventurer had only this emotion in his heart. He was filled with the irritation of being looked down upon, especially by a certain extremely proud werewolf. The scar of the week on his face was aching slightly, and the inexplicable anger almost burned out his reason. It was not directed at the hero, but at himself. A werewolf who has always sharpened his fangs will never tolerate his own weakness. He has always been greedy and pursued strength, and has the delusion of the wolf devouring the moon. The pressure brought by the monster disappeared under this blazing ambition. As for the girls of the Hestia family, they felt another extreme. Unwilling. Strong unwillingness. Even if the boy had never thought about it this way. But they did not want to be a burden to him, and wanted to walk side by side with him. Even Firewace, who understood the boy's deep meaning, could not help but feel a burning sensation in her heart. He gave the protagonist of this battlefield to Sword Princess. Of course, Firewace would follow his will. But even so, she would show him her excellence. I am not worse than her. The always indifferent pure white elf had a fierce desire to win at this moment. Oh no, I forgot about Firewace. Sioran, who was always paying attention to the changes of the girls in the field, clearly noticed the rising excitement. His original intention was to inspire the fighting spirit of the other girls in his family and let them achieve great things. But he suddenly forgot the character of the elf girl. She would not go all out later. Seeing the burning will in those true red eyes, Sioran was a little helpless. It seems that he is not suitable for doing this kind of thing. He is going to fall. Haha, you are really ruthless, Sioran. Finn smiled bitterly at the black-haired boy. Although he knew what he meant, the fire in the heart of the leader of the dwarf tribe still burned more fiercely. Tusk, don't think you can always stand on the high ground and give orders. Werewolf Bert's face became extremely arrogant, and he did not hide his desire to catch up. I actually let the little devil preach, Sioran, you just watch there. Grace raised the big battle axe and then walked calmly to the front of the team. Well, it seems that it is not a complete failure. Sometimes gentle provocation is unexpectedly effective. Looking at the gradually heated atmosphere, Chongran's mouth curled up. Although I understand what you mean, this style is like you. Sioran. Livalia tied up her messy hair elegantly. With a peaceful smile on her face, she directly exposed the boy's purpose. Really, I didn't expect him to use such a childish way. However, it's rare to see this side of him, he seems to be quite good. Thinking of the boy's previous poor provocation, the smile on the face of the royal elf couldn't help but soften a little. Ha ha ha, sorry. You are more than this level, I know very well. So, just this little bit of despair, just step over it, Sioran showed a sincere smile on his face, looking at the girls with burning eyes. You ask why girls? Nonsense, why would a man care about it? It's just a side thing, he naturally has no interest in caring. Witnessing the growth of the girls he loves and admires, he always enjoys it. Since this is the order of Lord Sioran, Lily must do it. Liluka looked at her hero with a firm gaze, without the slightest hesitation. As long as it was his will and his expectation, she would do her best to respond. This was the oath that the dwarf girl made in her heart after joining the Hestia family. It never changed, and the rest of the girls were the same. Then, the morale that had been hit was revived by someone's childish provocation. After a brief discussion, everyone finally unanimously decided to let Isai accumulate power and give the fallen fairy a critical blow. Isai, she can also cast magic in her mouth. Before the girl set off, Sioran gave her a small reminder. The fallen fairy in front of him can not only launch large-scale artillery attacks. It can also perform small chants, which he naturally can't hide from him. Duh. Ace nodded seriously, and then put on the wind armor and launched another offensive. La la la. The soft melody floated in the empty wilderness, and the fallen fairy was waving her arms freely. The crisp and pleasant notes were like a death knell at this moment. According to the call of the fallen fairy, the big hole behind her changed. There is a passage connecting to the 60th floor, and shadows are gathering continuously. The 59th floor has completely become her home court. You can call a number the amazing monsters attack in coordination, and they can be used as food reserves. Replenishing the consumption of the magic bombardment of the chant, it can be said that it has the advantage. However, facing the enemy who weaves terror, no one in the expedition team has wavered. All the high spirits are constantly rising, showing their determination to cross. At this moment, on the battlefield at the forefront, Finn, who is heading towards the fallen fairy, is full of madness on his face. His handsome features are completely different from his usual calm and gentle appearance. At the same time, he is also chanting a super short text. Magic spear, accept my blood and pierce my forehead. The bright red magic power gathers in the left hand of the brave man, rising in it with the will of the master. Then he decisively points the blood-red tip of the gun at his forehead. Hellfangs. The moment the chant is finished,